Week 2 in the NFL. We have a Thursday night preview. We have Scott Hanson from NFL RedZone and a surprise special guest that gets him a little flustered. Welcome to Spread 'em.
The money keep calling my name. Dollar signs make you sing.
Scott Hanson from NFL RedZone is joining us. Scott, you are going into your 17th year hosting. I got to know, tell me, how do you feel in this moment? And also, how is the new change?
Oh, well, Ashley, great to be with you, first of all. And it's great to be in season 17. People have told me for the 16 previous years that NFL RedZone has changed the way they watch football, and it's a heck of a gratifying thing. And in terms of the change, you could be referring to a few different things, potentially.
I have heard you last a minute. Just kidding.
Oh, man. Well, in regards to the engagement farming that some people have tried to go in by phrasing it that way, I'm just glad it's a well-established fact that I go 7 hours with no breaks.
I like that.
But
good comeback.
Yeah, in terms of the commercials, we ran 4 15-second commercials in a double box, by the way. Like, we waited until, such and such team had finished their play and were walking back to the huddle, and that we brought in a 15-second spot. We spaced them out an hour or two apart. So, yeah, it was a total of 60 seconds of commercials on Sunday. I know that's caused a lot of confusion, angst, frustration, anger, whatever you want to call it, among many fans. I would just tell you that I'm the host of the show. I don't make any of the business decisions. And everyone out there who has a boss, I have bosses too. And they make their decisions, and I execute the plan as best as I possibly can. I would just hope that fans would watch the show and see if we are still the great football show that they've said we've been in the past. People can make that judgment for themselves.
I didn't actually mind it at all. I didn't even think it was that big a deal, but it went completely viral. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? There's no such thing as bad press. So, I think it was amazing. And we all know that it's coming with commercials and this and that. So I didn't think it was that big a deal. But one thing I have always been in awe of is that you can hold your bladder for hours. It is astonishing. And I know you've told me this in the past, that your fantasy football name is Iron Bladder. I can't even last a moment. I am the worst person because I love a window seat on a plane. And I'm always like, excuse me. So how do you do it? I need help. Tell me.
Okay, well, you do a lot of cross-country flights. I know you do, right? You're bi-coastal, as they say, and international too. So what I do for RedZone is this: I start preparing myself on Saturday night. So I'm here in my place in Los Angeles right now, and I'll start watching what I eat and what I drink about 3.5 hours before showtime. I cut off all liquids at that point. I use the bathroom about twice before the show starts. In fact, when you're watching the countdown clock, everyone loves to watch the countdown clock on RedZone. Mm-hmm. I'm in the bathroom using the facilities for the final time. And then I just come back, I lock in, and I focus on the touchdowns for 7 straight hours. So
I love that.
It's fun. I don't mean to sound like a hero every time I say, like, I hold it and all that. I could take a bathroom break, but if I did, my earpiece, my IFB, is wireless. So if I went to the bathroom, I am convinced that I would hear one of the game announcers say, "That's the greatest touchdown in the history of the National Football League." And I'd be like, "I missed it." So it's kind of like I'm afraid, not that it's a jinx thing, but I am afraid that if I ever take a bathroom break and break my more than a decade-long streak of not going to the bathroom during RedZone, something will happen that I will kick myself for missing. And so I'm dedicated to the audience and focused on the touchdowns.
That is so impressive. I'm like, great, good job. I mean, this. Okay, so salty breakfast before a flight and no coffee, which is the hardest thing for me. But yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I have
you're
to.
petite, tiny little bladder. You shouldn't be expected to hold it for too long.
I can't even believe I'm going to admit this on my show, but I literally pee before, after every guest comes on because I have the worst bladder. Yeah, my producer is shaking his head right now. He's like, yes, she does. She pees a
Well,
lot. So
Ashley,
I'm sorry.
it's good to know my job is safe from you
Your
taking
job
it
is
over.
safe
If you
from me.
couldn't go for 7
Exactly.
straight hours.
Although, let's talk about how I do share a job with you, which I do not get requested that often. But on Cameo, I do often pick fantasy football draft orders. When they can't afford you or get you, they get me. So I take your backups. But I
Did you
have
have
to
fun
say,
this preseason? There was
I
a
did.
ton of requests this preseason.
I did. I got a couple. I was very happy. I made a little bit of money, so that was great. And I always love doing them. I get so into it. I actually end up, I'll pick, I'll get a bowl together and I'll write down all their team names and I one by one draft it. So how are you doing your teams? Like, what are you doing? How can I steal it? Because I want to be higher up on Cameo. I heard you're like third or something. What order are you the most requested?
Yeah. John Gruden finished first. They had a little fantasy football competition. Gruden finished first. He made, I think, in the month of, and I'm not telling tales out of school. Someone could do the math. He probably made close to $200,000 on Cameo
Wow.
in the preseason of the
Wow.
NFL, just doing draft orders. I'm guessing because I know where I'm at. So I finished third, which technically was second. They put a guy in there who's not known for fantasy football. He's a golf guy, but. So yeah, no, it was great. It was my greatest preseason on Cameo, and I love doing it because the fans are used to me saying Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, and now all of a sudden I'm saying Joe Smith from Sioux Falls, or whoever, and they get a kick out of that. I like the extra money that it brings, and it just gets everyone hyped up for the season. So yeah, the way I do it is. Because my handwriting is terrible and no one would want to read my handwriting pulling names out of a hat. I just use a website. I use random.org and I will enter all of their 12 names, 14 names, whatever, into the computer and let the computer scramble it. And then I do this dramatic reveal, as I go through. Like if it's a 12-team league, what I like to do, I'll go 11 to 2. And then that means I got 2 names left over. The 1 and the 12. So, if you don't hear your name, you think, oh, I've got a top 5 pick. Oh, I've got a top 3 pick. Oh, I might be number 1. Well, no, you also might be number 12, the way I reveal it. You see what I'm saying? So it maintains that drama throughout the entire reveal. That's a little industry secret.
Stealing tidbit. I like that. Well, speaking of football, I do want to get your take on one of the biggest games of the season. I'm just going to talk about the Super Bowl rematch that the Chiefs are going to be hosting, okay? And my Philadelphia Eagles, all right. I want to talk a little bit about the Jalen Carter spit.
Yeah.
It was, I wanted to look it up. $57,222 fine or $58,222.
Fine, yeah.
Let me see. What was it? $57,222 for spitting. He was also suspended for 1 game. Luckily, that 1 game counts as the first game, so he will be playing against the Chiefs. I'm sure the Chiefs are going to taunt him a little bit, and I'm sure they're going to be spitting on the ground a lot. But I just need you to tell me, do you think that my Eagles are going to pull it off? What are we thinking?
Well, I say this. Jalen Carter is going to come out like a man with his hair on fire, right? Because he knows he let his entire team down, let the franchise down by making a bad decision before the first snap from scrimmage, on Thursday. So he's fresh, he's ready, and he's ready to dominate. And what was maybe the biggest thing in the Super Bowl just 8 months ago, the biggest thing was the pass rush pressure that they were able to exert on Patrick Mahomes. And Carter is a massive part of that, whether he's rushing from the inside or they put him on outside or loop him around or whatever. So I think that's huge advantage Philadelphia. Yeah. Advantage Kansas City in that it's in Arrowhead. So it's not like the crowd noise will impact the pass rush getting home for Philadelphia. But with Xavier Worthy injured, like the wide receiver core of Kansas City is depleted. Travis Kelce's still Travis Kelce, but we still, his numbers have come down. The running game was not impressive for Kansas City in their season opener. So I got to think advantage Eagles in this one.
Also, the travel from Brazil. The traveling from Brazil, that's a lot on your body too.
It is, absolutely. Both teams, though, have at least an extra 2 days or 3 days to recoup from that first game because it was, obviously the Eagles played on Thursday. True. The Chiefs played on Friday. It wasn't like one of them's coming off of a Sunday game, which is good for both sides. The other thing that I would say is motivation side, it's got to be on Kansas City's. I mean, they're both motivated, right? It's the beginning of the year. Eagles are trying to get to 2-0. But Kansas City was embarrassed. I mean, you guys, the Eagles just tore them apart in the Super Bowl. Like, you're going to get the most focused Kansas City team there can possibly be. And I think that counts for something.
That's true.
The Kansas City Chiefs could have won their game against the Chargers. And quite frankly, the Eagles could have lost that game to the Dallas Cowboys. So I think it's going to be a little closer than what some people might think.
But Philly did lead 34-0 in the Super Bowl for a very long time until then. Yeah. Obviously ended up being 40-22. But the whole reason why I think we could have lost to the Cowboys was only mainly because of Jalen Carter with the spitting. And that reshaped all of what Dak and the team had prepped for because they were going to do double man coverage on Jalen. And now, I mean, we saw also with Micah Parsons how much really it does impact. Like, defense is the most important thing. And I think that I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's actually going to be a blowout one way or the other. I think this game's actually going to be very close. I'm hoping my Eagles can pull it out, but we will see. I do want to talk about Thursday night football.
It'll be a great game. The late window of NFL RedZone, by the way. We're going to have that one for you on RedZone.
Oh, we are? Oh, yes, I know. That's true. And I'm going to be watching. And Thursday night football, you don't often get to watch Thursday night football. You don't often get to watch football at home or doing your own thing. So how are you watching football, and where are you going to be watching tonight's game since I'm not in LA to watch with you at a sports bar and play pool?
Ashley, I miss you.
And beat you.
Bring it back to the best coast here. Okay, here. So, you've seen this setup, but this is for those who are watching, this is my setup here at my place in Los Angeles. That's my media wall there. A 70-inch screen surrounded by four 50-inch screens. And because I'm kind of known as the multitasker on sports television, I'll have Thursday night football on the center screen. But then I'll just put other random things, whether it's highlight show or a replay of a game that was from Sunday or a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie or news program, whatever, on the outside monitors, because I love all of that stimulation coming at me at one time, because when I watch one thing solo, it's too slow for me. I want more. I want to speed it up. So this is my little sports watching dojo here, and I love it when I get a national TV game. I do Thursday night football here. I'll do Sunday night football when I come home from RedZone from the studio. Monday night football, or here in Los Angeles, there are a number of fun different places.
And you have tickets
to go. Oh, and yes, if it's a game in Los Angeles, I might end up going to the game in person. So
yes. Or sometimes you just give them to me. Hey, when I'm there. Okay, so back to Thursday night football.
Are you requesting?
I mean, I love free stuff, and I did just have a birthday, so we are always accepting presents.
Yes, how was your birthday? I called you on your birthday.
Oh, it was good. I was working, so, I had a really good birthday, though, so thank you so much. I kept it low-key this year, good. The older we get, the more we're just wanting to surround ourselves with sleep. I'm not going to lie. But Thursday night football, Commanders at Packers. This is such a good matchup because we saw both of these teams come out really strong week one. And the Commanders are getting 3.5 points. I'm still torn on this match. I really am. Jaden Daniels was sacked 3 times. Adding Micah Parsons to the Packers really did make them a Super Bowl contender. I have to say, we see that now. But it is a short week for the Packers, and they just played only 4 days ago. I don't know. What do you like? What do you think about this matchup? You are the king of football.
Well, short week for both teams. They both played on Sunday. Green Bay was at home against the Lions, and they stay home, so no travel involved. Washington played in Washington and now goes to Lambeau Field. So that's a little, to me, a little advantage Green Bay. Both quarterbacks are capable of taking over the football game. And both teams in week one didn't have to exert themselves too hard to get their victories. Washington took care of the Giants. That was not unexpected. But Green Bay just hammering the Lions. I mean, that was a one-sided game against, a team in the Lions that was expected to be a Super Bowl and is expected to be a Super Bowl contender this year. That was a bit of a surprise to some people. So, look at primetime game at Lambeau Field. Jordan Love, coming into his own. Jaden Daniels is going to have to be extremely special for the Commanders to win this game. Jaden Daniels is capable of being extremely special. But I would still say advantage Green Bay. I can see why the number is what the number is there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still torn on that.
What do you think?
I like it. I just think 3.5 points is a half a point too much in my state, which is why Vegas is so good at what they do. That's why they're so good at what they do. Yeah. I think it's going to be very close, and I think both of these teams are doing really well. I like Jaden Daniels more, but going back to a stat, I'm so torn. Like the Lions had one of the highest stacked box percentages at 48% when they played them. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm probably gonna have to give this pick later on and really give it a think. So,
how about this? The running game. Yeah. We both like the quarterbacks. You said you think Jaden Daniels is better. There's probably a lot of people who might agree with you, but Love is right up there and capable. The running game, Josh Jacobs with fresh legs early in the season. That's a former rushing champ you're talking about. Whereas Washington is kind of using a little bit of a backfield by committee for the fantasy players out there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt got himself a touchdown in his first NFL game. Austin Eckler, we've seen him do things in the past. But if you look at the running game to complement these quarterbacks, Josh Jacobs and that Green Bay offensive line are capable of doing some things. And I would give the advantage there. And then Micah Parsons should be taking even more snaps than what we saw him in his debut. Keep in mind he'd only been
he was rusty.
On campus.
That was him rusty, right? Like he was like that's crazy. Yeah. He is worth every penny.
I mean, how delicious how delicious is it going to be to watch Jaden Daniels, one of the shiftiest, speediest, great runners at the quarterback position, do his thing with Micah Parsons chasing him in that clean-looking number 1 jersey there. It's going to be fantastic to watch.
I feel like you're already so excited for tonight. But before we get into it, I do have a fan. So there is a fan of yours, and he would like to come in, and maybe we talk about one game or so. If you don't mind, can I bring in somebody as a third box?
Sure. I love the fans. Bring him in. That.
Amazing. Okay, great.
Hey, you got to be kidding me.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. And guys, you guys had your footballs. I wanted to show mine too, right?
Oh, man.
This is probably
Steven, we got him, Steven. We got him.
The last time we'll ever get one of these, but, there it is. That's my football.
Bro.
We all have a football.
And look at his screen name. Ashley.
So everybody, let me introduce him now that you guys had your little bro moment. One of the most amazing humans I know, and also the CEO and co-founder of Cameo, which we were speaking about with Scott Hanson, which you can book both of us. I know Scott's way more popular, but everybody, Steven Galanis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And by the way, Scott does an amazing job every year for my fantasy football league. And I highly recommend it. So Scott, top 3, nothing wrong with that this year. But I agree, brilliantly done. Maybe he shouldn't be in the category. I gotta talk to some people on the leaderboard. But
I'm a competitor.
No matter what, Gruden had you fair and square, though. I will say that.
Oh yeah, no, I texted him. So you know, Ashley, Steve gave me Gruden's number so I could just text respect to him. I can't. Gruden is literally a grinder. He was doing cameos at 5 a.m. when I was still fast asleep here in Los Angeles. So, no, it was a great preseason for me on Cameo, I don't want to speak for Steven, but I think it was a great NFL ramp up for Cameo, the company. And it's a great, great way to interact with fans, to give fans a little extra added value into their football season. And hey, for fans that are watching right now, don't stop ordering. Like, if you want to trash talk your opponent in fantasy who you just beat last weekend, have Uncle Scott come and do it. I'm happy to. Or Ashley, she's
or
on
Auntie
there.
Haas. Auntie Haas. Well,
Hey, I'm cheaper than both of them. You can book me for $10.
Yeah,
That's true. You can
he doesn't need the $10.
Or the CEO of Cameo.
Steve, tell everyone how you became a Bears diehard.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was born into it, and I'm 37, so my life, nobody's ruined my life more than the Green Bay Packers every Sunday. So Brett, who's again another top Cameo person and somebody that I've, just like you, I've gotten very close with on the journey, was probably the person I hated most in the world for most of my childhood, and has been such a big part of the Cameo story. So that's been a lot of fun. And then to follow that up with Aaron Rodgers, and then just when we think it's going to turn around, then you got Love in there, and now Micah Parsons. Like, it's just it's the nightmare that we never wake up from. And as a Bears fan, anytime, we feel like, all right, we got Caleb or we had Justin Fields, it just feels like any of those guys, if the Bears had drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Trubisky, Mitch Trubisky might have been Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes might have been Mitch Trubisky. I think it's a cursed franchise.
What do you think of the hot take of your? Oh, sorry, I was going to say, what do you think of the hot take of your boy there picking the Packers to win tonight? What do you think?
I think they've got a dynamic, that pass rush. They already had a top 5 defense. You bring Micah Parsons into it. It feels a lot like when we got Khalil Mack a few years ago. And that just I remember that first Bears-Packers game. He had the interception or the forced fumble and brought it back, and you're like, oh my God, we're winning the Super Bowl. And I feel like everybody in Green Bay is feeling that right now. There's the crazy stat about Rodgers getting, I believe he got Charles Woodson at his age 27 season, and Brett Favre got Reggie White at his age 27 season, and this is Love's 27 season. Micah and him are going to be locked in for a decade probably. And look, I think Micah's just got he's got a chip on his shoulder like you've never seen, and that was a dangerous man even before this. So I'm not excited about our 2 games against the Packers this year, I'll tell you that.
But are you thinking the Packers are going to win then, Steven?
I think I've got the Packers on Thursday. I would never bet on the Packers because just don't do that. But,
that being said, I would bet on the Cowboys.
I will give my pick for free on this one. I'm taking the Pack.
Oh, well, thank you. But that being said, I would put money on a team if I thought that I could win, such as the Cowboys, who are going to be playing the New York Giants. And it kills me to say this because I just hope both teams lose. But if I'm picking, I'm liking the Cowboys. I like what I saw last week, unfortunately. The Giants, 5.5 points. Cowboys are home. Russell Wilson is still going to be starting as a Giant, although do you guys think that they could pull him at halftime? I mean, I know that I don't think that they would put Jackson Dart in. I don't think that Daboll will pull him mid-game, but I could see him coming in at halftime if they're doing that badly. Don't you?
Scott, you could go. I highly doubt it. I feel like
I know he
you
really
got a
loves
Russell
him.
Wilson. You're going to have him at least 4 games. I think at least 4 games, and then at that point,
not if they lose all 4.
I think it's going to take that for you to get Jackson Dart in there. I don't know, Scott. What do you think?
Really?
I would actually say everyone's on a short leash there. Brian Daboll knows his clock is ticking. If there's not solid reason for hope by the end of the year, and Russell, 10-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, one of the great quarterbacks of his generation, but he's on the back 9 of his career, and he's not the quarterback of the future. He's not the franchise quarterback for the Giants. Even if he were to have a good year this year, he's not like, oh, this is the franchise quarterback. They want to see what they have in Jackson Dart. I totally get it that you don't throw the kid into the fire immediately, but if even this week, if Russell is looking rough, I think there's a short leash on everyone, and Daboll might, because he's never going to articulate it. He's just going to do it when it happens. And the other thing is, we don't see Jackson Dart in practice. We're all making this determination about Jackson Dart based on how he looked in the preseason, which was quite good for a rookie quarterback. But that was preseason, second and third stringers, vanilla defenses, all the caveats apply there. I just think I wouldn't be shocked if there was a move at quarterback if Russell doesn't perform. But I also think Russell's capable of coming out and going 10 of 12 in the first half or something like that and looking really good and solidifying that job.
He has to come back and prove himself.
And we saw that happen last year, right? Justin Fields came in, was, a world beater, and then Russell came in and actually, had some great games there. So I would be shocked if, again, I don't know if he's going to be a world beater, this week, but I think he's probably there's some gas left in the tank. I think that the second that the coaching staff thinks Jackson Dart's ready, they'll put him in. He's going to play this year. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
But I just think that if he was closer to ready, they might have started him at the beginning of the year. They probably wouldn't have brought Russell in. Those guys are in the building every day. And Russell hasn't exactly been known as like the best mentor, right? Like, he can be a good teammate, but like he's always been somebody that's a little bit, off to the side from what I've heard, right? Like, so I just would be really surprised if they had this short of a leash. I agree. I think the coaching staff's on the hot seat. I think the GM, I think a lot of people are on the hot seat.
The papers in New York right now are destroying Russ, and and now they're saying, oh, now you can play about Danny Dimes and Aaron Rodgers and Danny Dimes. Now all of a sudden Daniel Jones is a great quarterback. All the past, like what happened? Oh, so now you can play was the headliners.
Can I say this? Can I say this about the Cowboys-Giants game? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This game is always, when it's announced in the schedule, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, whatever, the standalone window, or one of the only games in the late one. This is a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff. Giants and Cowboys hasn't been relegated to, you're one of the 9 games kicking off at 1 o'clock Eastern in years. So that just goes to show you kind of the state of these two franchises right now. That, for me, who handles every game every Sunday, that is a wow that they're in that window coming up this Sunday. But I'm thankful we'll have every touchdown for you in the game on Red Zone.
I think a lot of the matchups this weekend aren't really that wow for me. I mean, the Ravens, it's going to be a blowout. That's an 11.5-point spread. The Bills are going to be, that's a win. Like, a lot of these are wins, so you have to go to the spreads for this, which is more of my forte. But, it's kind of not really that great of a matchup with the scheduling besides this one, which is, the division rivalries are the ones I love the most, because even if both teams aren't the best, it's fun. They're fun to watch.
Well, that makes Scott's point even more, pertinent, right? Like, it's a weak slate this week, by any, no matter how you cut it up. And you put that game as the 1 o'clock snooze fest.
Yep.
Your 10 a.m. Pacific time game. And I'm with you, Scott. That's usually a 4:25. That's a Sunday night football, no matter what the records are. So everybody's pretty down on the Giants, especially right now.
What is the one game you are both the most excited to watch this weekend?
I got one for you that you never would have predicted, or probably wouldn't have predicted at the beginning of the season, or even 10 days ago. You wouldn't have predicted it. Broncos. Colts.
Yes.
Someone's going 2-0. And is the real Danny Dimes going to step up? Is this, I mean, granted, you're never going to have a game. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady never had a game the way he and that offense had against the Miami Dolphins. I gave the stat on Red Zone. No quarterback this millennium has scored on every possession, including, an opportunity to kneel down at the end of the half or kneel down at the end of the game in victory formation. And he and the Colts offense went 7 for 7. I think the Dolphins are a bit of a mess right now, so that you can attribute some of that. But I think they might be there's a chance they're for real in a way that we didn't expect. We're going to find out against a salty Denver Broncos defense. And Bo Nix has a little something to prove after not looking entirely crisp against the Titans in week 1. But Broncos Colts, who'd have thought it? But someone's going 2-0 to begin their season in that game.
Well, Scott, it's not surprising. I mean, you did go to the best school in the country. That Duke education really playing dividends for him right now.
Shout out Daniel Jones and the Dukies.
Hey, and Coach Cut, right? Coach Cut, the premier developer of quarterback talent. Was his pride and joy protege. It's great to see Danny Dimes get another shot. And, I think obviously New York is such a pressure cooker, and a lot of things didn't go right in that situation. But, one of the things I love that the Colts have done these last few years is, find that guy that's been cast away, that's got some upside. And, that's worked fairly well for them, just as they've had some, tough health at that position over the years. But I think this is like a perfect, rent-a-player. And, I think he could end up having a year kind of like we saw in Minnesota a couple years ago where, a guy gets his career completely reinvigorated and gets another deal. So really, good to see what he's doing up there. So
who are we liking then? Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite at the Colts. Let's talk about it. If we're going to talk about it, I want to talk about it. I want to know, if this is a great matchup. Daniel Jones versus Bo Nix. We just spoke about it. Both have been playing well. One of these teams is going to be undefeated, and one of these teams is going to have to finally take a second week L. So
I'll let Steve go.
Look, I'll take the Colts here. I just really. Okay. I was shocked of every score that you saw on the board last week, Scott. I was at that christening, so I wasn't watching you like I normally was. I didn't have it when I was putting the baby in the baptismal font, but the second we got to the reception, I had RedZone going on the phone, and that was the score that really came off the page to me. Complete shocker, especially after. Being in Miami and spending time around a lot of those guys, they were feeling really good about this O-line that they've got, and it just the Colts look like world beaters. So, look, I think there's good momentum there. I really think that the Colts are looking good, so I'm going Danny Dimes.
And you think they're going to cover the spread of 2.5 points?
Spread them. Let's go.
That's the name of the show. When a team is favored to win and they cover the spread, we spread them, Scott. Do you think that the Colts are going to take it, or do you think the Broncos?
I love all 32 of my children equally. And so
if
you don't mind, I would just say this. I think Denver's defense is elite. And if Daniel Jones and the Colts offense does it this weekend, I'm a believer. Until then, I would still say give me the 11 that are swarming over there for Denver. Patrick Surtain might be the best defensive player in the game, so I would say Denver's D is where I would ride.
I may not even touch this game, to be honest. It's going to be close, but I appreciate both of you so much for your time, and I love this. I love that the three of us had this fun little chit-chat about football. I just felt like I was talking to my homies, because I was, about sports. There's nothing better. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Steven, both for joining me here on Spread'em. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Be on the lookout for my picks this weekend in a special edition video we're going to be dropping Friday morning. But until then, remember to spread 'em.
The money keep calling my name. Tell us how to make you sing.